So that's some crazy shit. Okay, couple more stories. Oh, and just so everybody is clear, the topic for today, what we're gonna talk about after I'm done with a couple more of these news stories, me and Shireen is gonna talk about why people cheat, why men cheat, why women cheat. We're gonna give our take on the cheating scenarios. We're gonna give our take on the blowback of why men and women cheat. I think people probably ain't gonna want to hear what I gotta say about it, but I don't give a shit. I'm
Neither do I.
I'm gonna keep that thing real. All right. So last couple stories. This is a story again. Some of this type of shit. I get tired of talking about some of the things that happen, but it's just a consistent, and it just be hurting my heart to see some of this shit. So a rapper out of the Bay Area, and I wasn't familiar with this young brother. After I read about him passing, I listened to a little bit of his music. Not necessarily for me, but I appreciate all my young brothers who figure out a way to not be in the street no more. You know what I mean? So I always look at it from that angle. But this is a rapper named Lil Yase. Lil Yase, who was shot dead in the San Francisco Bay Area train station. This happened on Thanksgiving weekend. 26-year-old Northern California rapper was gunned down over the Thanksgiving weekend, which is another in the growing list of fatal shootings in the region this year. Now, police in Dublin, in the San Francisco Bay Area, identified Alexander Mark Antonia, I hope I'm saying the brother's last name right, Antonia Jr., who goes by the stage name Lil Yase, as a victim of a shooting at a Bay Area rapid transit BART train station on Saturday. Officers located Antonia at a nearby hospital where he was admitted with multiple gunshot wounds. Now, Antonia, a San Francisco-born rapper who was one of very few to gain fame in the region, where where most notable talent comes from Oakland or smaller lit nearby. I'm not too sure of that, but anyways, the remix to one of his latest songs got 3 million views. It was featuring Mozzie and Nef Pharaoh. You know what I mean? So look, I brought this up because this is like a epidemic in our community. Like this, I think this is how we should begin to see it, right? Like our relationship to hip hop music, we have to be honest about like the content in some of this music. We have to be honest about how art is intimidating. Art is just like life in a lot of these situations. A lot of these young brothers is rapping this music and they actually going out in the street and doing some of this shit. You know what I mean? So I think as black folks, as much as we don't like police brutality, as much as we don't like any injustice that's happening to our people, we need to begin to dig deep into what is making our young men kill each other the way that they killing each other. You know what I mean? And just to blame now again, I'm a big proponent of being aware of our history, like the war on drugs, the prison industrial complex. Like a lot of our young men don't have fathers. A lot of our young men don't have men around to kind of help see themselves through this shit. You see what I'm saying? So never, 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 never do I just blame something I see directly on my people. But at the end of the day, the men like me who aren't in jail, the men like me who are in the community, we all got to do a better job of trying to raise up these babies and really getting to them before the streets get to them. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's because I mean, this is like the fourth or fifth rapper that's died in the past like 6-7 months. You know what I mean? And most of the time, some of them, the past year or two, it's been drugs and different shit like that. But a lot of them have been gun violence, man. So what are we to do? Because I got young black sons. Like we all got young nephews and cousins and young black men in our life. It's not cool what they doing to each other. Now, do I think you should just go up to these young dudes and reprimand them and tell them what they shouldn't be doing? Nah, I don't necessarily take that approach because again, we have to be aware of their trauma. We have to be aware of what caused them to be in a mentality where they'll pick up a goddamn gun and shoot somebody. And like I said before, if you've never shot a gun, like a 40 caliber or anything bigger, when I tell you this is a violent fucking act, it is a violent act to shoot. So any young man who's used to it, we got a problem. If we got young men in our community who's carrying around guns and shoot that motherfucker and then go eat lunch, we got a problem that all of us need to address. You know what I mean, Shireen?
Yeah, indeed. Now, when you talk about the gun violence, and you mentioned at first, this man is what I call a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I also call that a hip hopster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm also a hip hopster. I love hip hop. The thing is, it's kind of a it's hard because what is contributing to a lot of the young life dying nowadays is the hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of it indeed is real. Some people did grow up without those fathers. Some people did grow up literally like driving with their dad to go bang somebody's head out. But then you
Mm-hmm.
got the other people who are just faking, and you got the Jews who are only signing those people that are going to rap about that to continue to hold the population down, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not killing to hold our people down, and they're not worried about us killing each other. That part's not even that. The people who are putting out the music, the big dogs, they're not worried about the aftermath, the real life stuff. They're worried about the money. So when you bring up what are we going to do, first of all, it's accountability. We have to take accountability for our words and our actions. If you are an influencer, if you are a rapper, a hip hopster, what is it? Either you for our people or you just for money.
Mm-hmm.
And once you decide what that is, you make the necessary changes. I know rappers right now, hip hopsters right now, that are not even willing to do songs anymore with people that are talking about, I'll grab my 4-5, headed to the door, creeping in slow. They're not doing it, blasting his head off. What's up, blood? They're not doing that. Because you can still talk about your real life and talk about hood life without talking about killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about accountability. It's all about being willing. Because we all know our black people are able to do anything we put our mind to. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just about being willing and taking accountability, and whose side are you really truly on? Are you on that dollar side, or are you on, like you said, our people side? And it's too robust to just kind of break down. It's
Mm-hmm.
too it's just too robust. It's too big. It's too large for us to just break down and figure this whole thing out. But we can start with the influencers, even like yourself and myself,
Mm-hmm.
people who have platforms, people who want to empower, to speak about these things, educate, and speak on it and say it's not right. We need to make a change. Now, in
Mm-hmm.
regards to the hip hopsters, where that they have huge influence, they have to take accountability and stop worrying about the money. You got the money now. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's always been cash roots, everything around me. Cream with the money, dollar bill, y'all. So it's
And
hard to change what's been instilled into our heads since we began to breathe.
true, true. You know what I mean? But I think it's becoming a situation where, especially for us who are is considered older, who's considered the OGs or whatever you want to call it. When you know better, you do better. You know what I mean? Like I'm like me and you was talking about the other day. I may listen to hip hop for the rest of my life. Like I may end up finding I can always find some piece of the music, some genre of the music. There's always an artist that I like that's making music. That's just how it's gonna be. But at the end of
Right.
the day, some of these messages, we got to be honest about some of the messages in the music. We got to be honest about some of the toxic behavior of our young men. So I think the reason why some people get a bad rap when they come down on black people, when they say stop killing yourself, black on black crime, all this shit, I think the reason why me personally, the reason why I don't listen to people who come at us like that, because I know you don't love us. Like if you come from a place of love, if you black and you love our if you love who we are, even if you're not black and you got love for who we are, I can understand that conversation. That's a conversation to be had. We can talk about what happens to us by the hands of other people, but we also have to have a conversation about what we do to each other. Like you can't have one without the other. They're separate to me, but you can have both conversations. You know what I mean?
I
And
concur. I
in the
concur.
messaging in the music, talking about just doing drugs, talking about killing niggas, talking about pimping women, we need to be honest. Like this shit, some of it sound good, but the shit is toxic. Now, I'm I'm also for 100% authenticity. So if you live in a particular lifestyle
Hmm.
and you just so happen to be good at putting together words, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell you don't say what you don't. I'm not gonna tell you don't say what you really live in. I'm all about transparency and being authentic. Now, of course, we're gonna look at your lifestyle and say that shit may not be conducive to you living to 60, 70 years old. So you may
Right.
want to look at a different option. And from what I've seen, most black men, rapper or not, who lives long enough, if he lives long enough, he'll begin to make those changes. Just how we're criminalized and how this system treats shit. A fucking 11-year-old black kid get treated like he a grown man. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
sometimes our young men don't have the room to kind of blossom. You know what I mean? They don't have the room to grow out of the adolescence and the mentality of kill or be killed. You see what I'm
They
saying?
don't.
Because
They
go
don't.
ahead.
Like when you think about rappers, hip hop stars, you talk about like let's say Tupac.
Hmm.
Tupac Tupac was able to bring the street life into the let's say Black Power life. So
Hmm.
he would speak the truth. I'm talking about he has a variety of songs, but let's just say like how he said like the Dear Mama song.
Hmm.
You know, even though she was a crack fiend mama, I still got I can't think of the words right
Still
now.
Black Queen Mama.
Exactly.
Yep.
So he's bringing both of it together. You know
Hmm.
what? Indeed, my mama was a crack fiend, but I still held her to the highest esteem because she's my mother. So
Hmm.
if we get rappers that are able to speak their truth, but do it in a way where you still praise and show loyalty and honor
Hmm.
to the women, to the children, to even other men, it would work better. But that's not what's going to happen as of right now because the people who are signing those
Mm.
the $200 million deals, they
Hmm.
want to hear some WAP.
That's true.
They want to hear some WAP. They want to hear just like Tupac said, I'm coming in the door blazing, popping the gun.
Hmm.
He had this story that he was telling, but they want to hear something where you're killing people.
Yeah,
So
if you cut on the radio, yeah, if you cut on the radio, if you listen to like the popular hip hop, most of it is that type of content. Nowadays, like when we were younger, it was more a variety of different type of rappers. Like even if it
do
was
it.
some negative shit, they were individuals, right? Now everybody kind of, not everybody, but most new rappers kind of sound the same. You know what I mean? And most of them have that same subject matter. And you're right, like the dudes who are empowering people or attempting to, they're just not as
Popular. They're not as
they're just not
mainstream.
as popular as a lot of the younger rappers. You know what I mean?
As much as we love Common, as much as we love, I could name somebody else.
Talib Kweli.
I was gonna say that. That's funny. That's
Mm-hmm.
how my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I pronounced the name wrong. They're not on that. They're not on that level. They're just not.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are on the level are the Gucci's, and the people who are on that level are the people who are talking about literally. I'm doing lean.
Destruction.
Exactly.
Destruction. You know what I
Self
mean?
destruction.
Because I'm able to listen to somebody who's talking about destruction per se. And sometimes I can find the silver lining in his words.
Exactly, because you feel the truth in it.
You see what I'm
But when
saying? I can find the silver linings, but
yeah,
maybe a 12-year-old can't. Maybe a
exactly.
13-year-old can't because I used to think that you can, and we'll wrap this up in a minute and get onto our topic, but I used to think that you can allow a kid to listen to hip hop, any black kid, allow him to listen to hip hop, and he won't try to emulate the music, right? And now I'm of the belief, now that I'm a little older, I think it's about the environment that the kid lives in because white kids who listen to hip hop, they're not going out and doing the shit that they hear in the music. They just not. But if you're a black kid and you live in the environment that's speaking, if the music is speaking to the environment that you live in my opinion, you may see fit to kind of emulate some of the shit in the music to be a participant more so than just someone observing what's going on. You know what I mean?
So what do we do? Let's figure it out, people. If you guys got any comments or any recommendations on how do we keep our hip hop music alive in a more positive manner, you comment. Please reach out to Melanated Combo Podcast and always
Hmm.
reach out to Serene Power Moves Presents. Let's talk about it. How do we moving forward get our stars and our elders, the older ones, the OGs, to create music that brings about empowerment to be
or even making sure the kids find more conscious rappers cool, because right now I can go on my phone and find you 7 to 10 guys who did made an album over the past 3 years that reflects the struggle we going through, that has content that reflects police brutality, and the shit is dope as hell. You see what I'm saying? These just aren't the guys that's, but so as parents, if you're gonna allow your kid to listen to hip hop, this is a part of that education, right? This is a part of you saying, okay, I'm gonna let you listen to this music, but let me introduce you to the history. That's what I did to all my sons. They love hip hop. I love hip hop. So I was like, no, let's go back to the beginning. I'm gonna teach you about the beginning of hip hop, like the Grandmaster Flash and like the beginning. Then we're gonna work our way up to see how the South got involved, to see how lyricism got involved. Like I went through all that with them. I think that's necessary. You know what I mean? But you're right. There's definitely something we need to do as a community about the music and just how it's perceived, like how we allow these record companies to popularize it to a point where, you know, middle America, they not digging into our culture like that. They see black folks, so these cities and towns that don't got a lot of black folks in them, they see a rap video, and to them, that's all niggas. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, we getting characterized by the negative attributes of our society, and that's not cool. So enough of that. Enough of that story. I'm just tired of seeing my young brothers get killed by the hands of somebody